So someone requested for me to talk about something, and they were wondering about my transition from a college studio to having my own home studio. I hope I answer this question as best I can. I graduated university in 2016 with a BFA. My concentration was printmaking. After graduating, I felt really burnt out on cranking out a bunch of work and projects and having deadlines and navigating the whole bureaucracy that is a university. So I ended up not making a lot of art after school. Yeah, it wasn't just the burnout from being in school. I didn't have access to printing press or a lot of space to do printmaking. I ended up moving to California, where I am now, in 2017, and it took me honestly a couple years to get my feet under me financially. I was working a lot and I didn't have a lot of mental space for doing art or much motivation. I was kind of just grinding away trying to save up as much money and get my own place and space. I lived in a tiny 8-foot by 9-foot room with just a bed and a desk that my computer sat on, and I had a closet with some shelves. And all I moved out here with was a box full of 2 boxes full of art supplies and my clothes and my cat and all my plants. Most of my plants didn't survive the move. I'm sorry if I'm not answering this question. I worked a lot for a couple years. I did a couple small drawings in my sketchbook, and I did some watercolor stuff, just mostly kind of playing around with things and not really having a goal of being an artist or really trying to do much with art and creativity. I was kind of just enjoying being in a new place and getting established here. Well, I made a couple friends that are artists. One is that's their full-time job, and the other one, they have done it off and on as a side hustle. And talking to them about having a BFA and studying art in school, they kind of motivated me to keep up with it and not stop making art. It's easy to not make time for art and for yourself, and it's easy to get caught up in the stress of life and feel like you don't have the mental space to make art. My budget was so tight when I first moved here. I could only set aside $5 from every paycheck to save up for art supplies. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of printmaking stuff left after school besides my print projects from school and my carving tools, my brayer, and my sharpening tools. This is quite the ramble, so if you're still here with me, thank you. I appreciate you listening to my story. And for the person who asked the original question, I hope I am still on topic. Where were we? Transition to California. Yeah, so I moved to California in 2017, and then I honestly didn't start printmaking again, physically carving something again, until 2019, January of 2019. And in that 2-year span, I did 2 art shows and I painted a mural, and I did those to try and save up money for buying a press. I had my eye on a really small press. And by art shows, I didn't show at a gallery. So I work in a climbing gym. My shows were 2 different shows, 6 months apart at my climbing gym. I hit a really good audience there, and I was selling all my work from school, and I posted this thing saying, hey, I'm trying to save up for a printmaking press so I can keep doing my art. But I would say a majority of my print projects from school did sell out in this first show. And then I painted a mural at my work in our yoga room, and they paid me for that. And then with that money and the money from my show, I was able to buy the small printmaking press that I had. And this all happened in 2018. So 2017, no art making except for some sketches and watercolor drawing. And then 2018, I had that show that sold out a lot of work, and then I did the mural, and then I bought my press. January of 2019, I had saved up some money from my paychecks to buy some blocks and inks and things for printmaking again. I'm not gonna say the first press I bought because It ended up being defective and I had to return it, and they gave me 100% refund. So I bought my press. I started carving again in 2019. December of 2018, I moved into this space that I'm in now. It did not look like this. You saw my transformation video, you saw glimpses of my first art studio, which was the desk area underneath my bed, and then this whole area that's my studio now. I didn't use this space as like just an art studio, but my apartment that I live in is also, it's like an artist community. So before COVID times, I could have art shows in my apartment, and I would sell some like here and there from those. So I still sold some prints once I moved in here. I had the studio space underneath my bed. I had my press set up there, I had my laptop there. It was kind of hard to find motivation to make art in that space. Where was I? God, I hope I can make this a cohesive story. So 2018 moved into here, 2019 started carving again, and I carved through the spring and summer. Yeah, I just carved like 5 or 6 things. Then I had another show at the end of the spring. It was less work up and it was more of like my newer stuff. That show did pretty good and I saved money from that. At the end of 2019, I did another show at a climbing gym in the Bay Area, and that show did really well. And then in December of 2020, I did a show at my gym again, and that show did really well. And then finally I decided, at that point in doing the Bay Area show, it just started to be really fun to do art. I'm not a full-time artist. I don't support myself solely on my art. It's a side hustle and it's slowly growing, and I'm really excited about where it's gonna go. At no point was I just like, I want to do art, this is what I'm gonna do, and started putting a lot of effort into it until that show I did last year, a year ago now. Whew. Yeah, that show was really cool because I made some work that I was really proud of, and I started to have a lot more fun with carving and just talking to people about my art, and like getting their responses was so surreal. I love hearing what my work means to other people because it's never gonna mean the same thing it does to me, and it's cool that I'm making something that creates a feeling in someone, and you're like, wow. Like, I've heard some of the craziest stories of people who are like, I bought this because it reminds me of like this or that, or like, this is this experience I had in that area that you made a piece on, and like, oh, I'm kind of getting goosebumps. It was kind of hard to put work out that felt really personal to me. I know landscapes just look like landscapes, but landscapes hold a lot of significance to me personally. And when I got that response of like feeling, I guess being able to connect with other people on the same thing that I love so much, I'm like, wow, I want to do that. So that show kind of got like my gears turning in my head, like I need to expand my studio. I need to start taking this more seriously, like maybe this can become a thing one day. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to push it too hard because I still want to have fun with it and still enjoy it. And I, at that time, was afraid if I try to make my passion into my income source and my financial support, then will I start to hate it? And I've listened to, there's a few artists on YouTube I've listened to, and I also listened to the Creative Pep Talk by Andy J. Pizza. I didn't say that with nearly enough excitement as he does. One artist online said, don't force your art to support you. You need to support your artwork and let it grow naturally and organically. So I had that mindset of like, I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna keep working towards expanding my art making, or expanding my studio, making more artwork, and just enjoying the process. Sometimes I get imposter syndrome and I feel like a fake artist because I don't do gallery shows. I don't have like a crazy social media following, but everything I have here I've been able to build off of like my local community. But yeah, so the money I got from those 2 shows, I was like, wow, I kind of want my dream press now. Like, I actually can afford my dream press, and I can afford more supplies for my studio, and like maybe this could actually be a thing. So my old press that I had to pump out a lot of work, I returned it in January and got the refund, and then I took a few months to research my dream press and what I wanted and get some advice from my printmaking mentor at the university I went to. Finally settled on one and I bought it. It took like 4 months for them to build it and ship it to me. Yeah, May of this year, I had my press coming in and I built my press stand and got that all set up, and I did a print on it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing prints amazing. And then I had time from quarantine. I didn't have anything to do, so I was like, you know what, get some work done. So I moved a bunch of furniture out of my apartment, and then I built some stuff that I needed and bought some more gear and tools and things that I needed, and now I have the studio I have. That was my story. I did a couple art shows, saved up some money, bought a press. That press didn't work out, bought another press, built a stand for it, felt super motivated and had time from quarantine, and decided to do this. And now that I've been doing this and having a lot of fun on YouTube, I don't know, I really love my job at the climbing gym. But it's fun to have this as a side hustle, and I'm starting to take it more seriously. Gosh, I've made so many mistakes because I was not taking this seriously. They're kind of funny. I look back and I'm like, wow, Courtney, that was dumb. That's how I transitioned from being a student in art school and working in the school's print studio to now having my own print studio. And honestly, I don't think anybody needs all of this to be a printmaker. Even now, looking back, like, there was nothing really, like, I didn't need a press. You can print by hand with a spoon. You don't need to spend the money on a press. You don't need a window of tons of plants. You don't need a big desk or anything like that. You just need some carving tool. You need one carving tool, a block, and a sheet of paper, and a wooden spoon. Those are the only things you need to be a printmaker. Now that I have all this, I feel like I could be a printmaker with it or without it, or be an artist with or without it. Just kind of funny. You like, I was like putting all these qualifiers and limitations of like, I can't be that, I can't do that because I don't have access to XYZ tools, materials, space, and it was really just me afraid of trying, because if you try and it doesn't work out, then that's embarrassing, but if you just actually try, then it's gonna work out, is what I've realized. Post art school motivational speech. If you just keep trying, it's gonna work out. I think that's all I have. Let me know if you have any other questions about my artwork or my process or what I'm doing. I really liked getting this question and being able to answer it. I hope I answered it, and I hope it wasn't too long-winded. I can ramble. Thank you so much for listening to all that. I hope you liked hearing my story. I hope it was interesting. And if you have any more questions, drop them in the comments below. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and then I will see you in my next one. Hopefully I have more artwork done.